The last few days have been just a slow motion nightmare. It's a nightmare because you know that things are going to end badly. You know that this is going to be the headline eventually on the top of Fox News. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Utah governor announces there is a political motive in the Charlie Kirk murder case. Of course, there's a political motive. The left-wing radicalization of the shooter, the loser, the loner, the guy who seemed to have a perfectly normal American upbringing, even dressed as Donald Trump 3 Halloweens ago. Tyler Robinson, a young man raised in a Republican and Christian household. His father is a 27-year veteran cop. His mother worked with disabled children. Tyler Robinson grew up happy. They went on family trips. They went exploring and hunting. They were in Alaska fishing. He lived a great American life. They are at a concert. Here he is with a churro. Here he is at Red Lobster, Unlimited Crab Fest or something like that. Just your classic. It was the dog. This is the German Shepherd. The dog and the stupid Converse sneakers now that, of course, everyone has seen and identified him at. Here he is on Halloween again. And this man wearing a Donald Trump costume. It's about $80. You can get this Donald Trump costume. Ladies and gentlemen, right here. The one that he's wearing. How do you go from dressing up as the Republican president in the year 2020 to murdering in a public venue, live on camera, in a live on camera, on air execution, someone who is the single greatest advocate for the president, somebody who the president considers his own son? How does it happen? How does it happen? Left-wing radicalization. That's how. That's how. Here are the facts. This was a politically motivated assassination. The shooter, Tyler Robinson, was an unaffiliated registered voter. His parents were Republicans, but that's totally normal, of course, in small town Utah. Tyler Robinson was associated with an Antifa Discord group. One of the members showed the DMs to law enforcement. Tyler Robinson was an active Antifa member. We know this because he left Antifa messaging at the crime scene. Antifa songs, Antifa slogans scrawled into the bullet casings. Family has confirmed that he is in fact a leftist. And he has nothing. And then what happens is you get radicalized on your college campus by either a professor or by an online community, same online community that radicalized Thomas Matthew Crooks to go shoot Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. I don't know. It was also on Discord. We've never seen the messages. Why have they kept the messages from us? Why can't we see the messages? How do you go from dressing as President Trump? That's what this outfit is. This is President Trump. I like Trump so much. I'm riding on his back. To the most brutal on-air execution in American history. Certainly in modern American history. Political motive. The ammunition. What was that ammunition? The ammunition and shell casings, along with the family, exposed the true problem. The ammunition included messages that says, "Catch this fascist." The governor of the state called it a political assassination. It's a real shock. It's something that we talked about with Eric Trump. You know, he was even a donor. He was a Trump donor. I'm not saying that he was an active Republican. This was from 2020. I'm saying that the radicalization happened that fast. His family confirmed he's a leftist. His family confirmed he's an Antifa member. This happened that fast. Here's a good example of that. Donald Trump. Carry me, Mr. President. There you go. Good example of the Donald Trump outfit. Stephen Crowder doing more reporting, but it's essentially what we've shown you thus far. Aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, obstruction of justice. He's going to be executed. 21 years old, born in 2003. Doesn't remember 9/11. Wasn't born. Crazy, man. What the hell's going on? Eric Trump talking about this. We asked him. We asked Eric Trump, what's going on with this Trump costume? What's happening here? And the answer was poignant. Here you go. Sociopath who was clearly radicalized from what looked like a very normie upbringing, hunting, fishing, and so on, and then took a very dark and radical turn, also posed in a very peculiar Halloween costume. I don't know what to make of it. I wanted to just toss it up on screen. He dressed as President Trump not too long ago. I think this is just a few short years ago. And in an inflatable Halloween costume of your father carrying him on his shoulders. What happened here, Eric? You've seen so much of it, and you've seen so much radicalization against your family. What do you think happened here?
Well, I'm kind of curious what she has on her back. I don't know what that is. Is that a rifle? Because it certainly looks like a slung rifle to me, and
yeah,
or a sword or something.
They have a come from a hunting family. The family hunts and does outdoor activities together, and so yeah, this is a toy long gun.
Isn't the irony, Benny? Like, isn't the irony of all of this is like he won this whole movement. He converted the minds and hearts and souls of all these people, and yet maybe the last to not convert were the ones who had to inflict pain on him because he realized he was winning. Like they had lost the argument. And so,
yes,
which he had said so often, when somebody loses the argument, they resort to violence. Like, they had lost the argument. And by the way, so had academia in the United States of America. Like, academia and these teachers and the wokeness, they had lost the argument. They had lost it with students. They had lost it with parents. The only people that were holding on were, a small group of tenured faculty. But other than that, they had lost the argument. And yet the last to convert realized, having lost the argument, that they would just do what Charlie always said that they did when they lost an argument, which was resort to violence, which was one thing that Charlie never did. He just won the argument based on the merits of just being on the right side of the argument, which is first and foremost, but also then just being smarter and better read and everything else. And it's just unthinkable to me. It's maddening.
There are too many similarities to ignore between Thomas Matthew Crooks and now the shooter, Tyler Robinson, in Utah. I don't know how to solve it. I'll tell you this. A ruthless dismantling of the Antifa terrorist network would be a good start. I don't know who needs to hear this, but the costume is mocking Trump. Tyler Robinson was radicalized in college. So many of our youth today, stop sending your kids to college. Yeah, I do agree with that. Him riding on Trump's shoulder, I'm not sure that it's necessarily anti-Trump. Anyone claiming Tyler Robinson supported Trump because he wore a costume is dumb. It's a mockery. Trump's a midget baby, like the giant one in London. I don't know. I guess you're just going to have to engage in speculation. But this is from many years ago. You can clearly see that that Tyler Robinson riding Trump here, you can see that he is a very, very different person from this individual. With the receding hairline, with the eyes above the ears, with the sunken and hollow expression. Something horrible happened to him. Matt Walsh. There's no doubt, there was never any doubt, that this is a targeted political assassination by a leftist militant who had been radicalized by left-wing propaganda. Political violence is nearly exclusively a left-wing problem. It's a tool of their trade. That is a matter of fact. We don't have the full answers. But we do know that the government needs to severely crack down on left-wing radical extremism. As Eric Trump denotes here, this has been something that has too often attacked his family and the families of people that we really care about here on this channel. Here's Eric Trump's initial reaction to this news. As somebody who traveled the country with him, as somebody who knows him like a brother, I want to just give you the floor and give you an opportunity to speak to everyone about who Charlie was and what message his life brought to the world.
So rewind 10 years, Benny. He comes into Trump Tower. I'll never forget this. We're sitting in a conference room on the 25th floor of Trump Tower, and he's this, I don't know, a 21-year-old kid. And he comes up to me and he goes, "This is what I want to do on college campuses. This is how I want to be involved in the campaign." And I go, these are really incredible, aspirations and lofty goals, but you really think you can create a chapter on every college campus and fully change the narrative? And he goes, "Yeah, I can. I absolutely can." And he just got going. He had a couple of chapters, but the chapters are small, and there was energy. He had a lot of energy behind it. But he literally spelled out exactly what Turning Point USA is right now. He spelled out the exact movement that he created, which you best saw 5 seconds before he was assassinated by this jerk, right? When you saw those kids out there and they're waving their hats and they're pumping their fists in the air and they're so excited to see him and the energy is contagious and they're all wearing 47 hats and they're throwing hats to the crowd and they're having a great time. I mean, this was a rally on a college campus, and that is what he told me he wanted to create 10 years ago. And listen, you hear a lot of nonsense, especially in the business world, from people. "Oh, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to build." And 99% of the time it's bravado and BS. The people can't execute. They can't build. They lose their will. They lose their passion. Charlie not only built but exceeded that goal. And I love him. Listen, when I saw Kash Patel speak, and Kash is a dear friend of mine. A dear friend of mine. When I saw Kash, and by the way, so is Dan Bongino. When I saw him speak a couple minutes ago, it was like, if you want to ever talk about full circle in life, almost brought tears to my eyes. The amount of stages that you, me, Kash, and Charlie have been on, and by the way, Dan Bongino, right? Over the course of our life. So here's a dear friend of ours who was one of the biggest impetus in helping my father win the White House and just standing by our side relentlessly. If we were in a courthouse, if we were getting attacked by an AG, Charlie was there and he was fighting and he was vocal. And so he lost his life in support of a movement that my father started, but obviously his beliefs and what he cared about, right? God, our Constitution, America, red, white, and blue. So I'm seeing a friend here that I've been on stage with 1,000 times. I'm seeing another dear friend that's been on the same stage as Charlie and I and you, up there as FBI director, who's trying to hold it together as he's piecing together the timeline of how he found his buddy's killer. And now Kash runs the FBI, and then you see Bongino, who again was a friend of Charlie's and a friend of mine and a friend of yours. And you want to just talk about this weird small world. Like, you never thought that this is how, at least I never thought, and it didn't hit me until 2 seconds ago, that this is how the United States worked. Normally you had some freaking bureaucrat who wore some suit, who carried some freaking revolver, who was a political, who didn't give a crap about the other, the person at the end of that rifle barrel. And yet you see all these worlds of heart and soul collide, where it's just, we're all fighting for the same thing. We're fighting for country. We're fighting for what Charlie believed in. We're fighting for friendship. It's so damn real. It's so damn raw. It's so uniquely personal to all of us, based on how well you and I and all of us know these characters and the fight that we've been in this entire time. And man, it's crazy. I mean, you couldn't write this in a book. You really couldn't.